Okay. Hello, everyone. Hey, it is Rose from Yoga for All with Rose. Today, I am bringing you a gentle flow for all levels. That is, we will be focusing on the upper body, opening the shoulders as well as the neck. So, thank you for joining me, whether that's live or that is as a replay. I'll be using two props today. I have this mat that is something I like to use under my seat. It could be a towel, it could be something, it could be a yoga block that you end up using. And I also have a strap today. This is actually my kid's belt, but that's what I'll be using today in the very beginning. So, as I said, this is going to be a very slow flow class and gentle. So, be prepared to have patience with the pace of the class. And we will start seated and then progress slowly up and come back down and finish in our shavasana in our final resting pose. So for now, let's put the strap to the side and have something available that you can sit on. I'm placing it roughly in the middle of my mat and then gently sitting on it. And the reason for this is really that my hips can be a little bit higher than my knees. And let's take this moment to just gently come to your body. And let's place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Gently closing your eyes, or maybe you turn the gaze down, feeling the length of the back of the head. And then just observing the breath under your hands. And as you sit here, feel what parts of your pelvis are connecting to the earth, to the ground, whether you're sitting on something or not. And allow that surface that touches the ground to be soft and without tension. And then feel the rib cage as it expands, and feel the rib cage right over your pelvis. If you need to do any micro movement, any adjustments, do so. And then shoulders wide and wonderful, open over the rib cage. And then the head in the middle of the shoulders as a continuation from the ground up. And I invite you to gently tuck your chin down and maybe even think about moving your ears very gently towards the back space. Releasing any tension, any tightness in the back of the head. And at this point, maybe your inhales and exhales have naturally already become a little bit longer. Feel your hands expand and gently come towards your spine with each inhale and exhale. And then gently opening your eyes if they were closed, let's place both hands on the top part of the chest. My fingers are softly touching the collarbones up here, and then filling the lungs and feeling that top part of the lungs expand, travel up, and then exhaling. Now, next time when you inhale, try to have the space filled all the way up under your hands, and then pause there and exhale. This is the top part of our lungs. Trying to fill the space all the way under your hands, pausing there. And then gently exhaling, softening everything down. And let's bring the hands to wherever comfortable along your legs. And with the chin, just looking down, gliding that chin down, and then looking up, lifting the chin up wherever is comfortable for you today. Not dropping the head, very controlled, just moving up and down. Think about that tall spine, ribs over the hips. One more time, up and down. And note if there's any grabbing in your hip flexors. Try to release any work that is happening as an extra work. And then coming to the center, look to one side and gently gliding the head to the other side. So we're sort of like just moving a little bit the cervical spine, the neck, so that we create a little bit of movement before we give it a little bit of lengthening. Going side to side. And then come back to the first side you were on and look down. And now I invite you to reach the opposite hand to the side and gently wrap it around your waist on the back, wherever comfortable, wherever available for you. And then allow the top of the head to be heavy. If you feel like you want to add a little bit of a stretch there, maybe you very gently place the right hand over the back of the head, allowing the gravity to pull the head down. With the hand, just gently adding a little weight to it, not pulling down with the hand itself. And then floating that down, releasing the other hand, coming back and back to center. And now just gently dropping the chin to the chest, allowing the back of the head to be long. Filling the lungs long. And then with an exhale, floating the head back, looking to the opposite side. And then looking down. Reaching the right arm if you're looking to the left, to the side, and maybe wrapping that around the waistline, however feels comfortable for you. Staying here, and it's really the breath that starts doing the stretching for you. And then if it's available, or if you wish, maybe the hand comes gently to the top, but I'm not pulling down, I'm just letting it be there. So that the weight of the hand is allowing a little bit extra weight for the gravity to pull everything down. Breathing here, filling the lungs, feeling the rib cage expand. And then gently letting go if you had the hand on the head, allowing that hand behind you, release and gently come to the middle. Now let's bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Not, you can see that my neck is very tight, so it doesn't even get that far. But I invite you to extend the opposite hand, the left hand, to the side and gently placing those fingers to the floor if that's available, finding a little bit of a two-way pull. And at this point, I invite you to check that the spine is still tall and allowing the inhale to stretch the side of the neck. And then gently bringing that hand back to your lap, wherever it was, and floating that head up. Floating the left ear towards the left shoulder. And gently extending those fingers. And then placing them down if that feels comfortable. Maybe they don't. Maybe it just reaches energetically to the side. What we want to have is a little bit of a two-way pull. And note how deepening the breath will open the lungs. We will expand the lungs and deepen the stretch. You won't open the lungs anatomically. And then releasing that hand, bringing it to your lap and just coming gently to the middle. Wonderful. Let's grab our strap at this point and just very gently, depending how long it is. So I'm going to place it across my legs and just right at as wide as my knees are. I'm just going to bring it all the way up. And then we're going to create a little bit of a twist. So I'm twisting to one side and then I'm twisting to the other side. Just finding a little bit of twisting movement here. Gently pulling onto the strap. It doesn't matter whether the arms are extended or not. It's more of a pull and twist. Then remember that tall spine again. And then come to the middle and bring that strap down. And maybe now you take a hold a little bit closer, maybe about a hip, not hip, um, shoulder width apart, and then gliding the strap back up. And now let's gently reach to one side, almost like you're trying to open your armpit, coming back to the center, reaching, lifting to the opposite side, not collapsing, almost like I'm thinking of lifting the strap to the sky and yet moving to one side. Coming back to the center, really feeling those ribs over the pelvis, moving to the other direction. And we're going to go to the first side and then just pause there, reaching up, pull the navel in and up to support your spine, grounding the opposite hip down. And then come to center, floating to the other side. Again, pausing here, anchoring the opposite hip down, reaching up energetically, breathing, opening the chest, and then floating back to the middle. And now a little bit of a sideways twist here if that feels comfortable. If your shoulders are not happy, bring everything down and take a breath. It might feel good also to open the stance just a little bit for this next one. So my strap is directly over my head, and then very gently I'm gliding that strap to the space behind me and bringing it back to on top of me. So now I really want to bring the navel in and up and allow my shoulder blades to glide toward each other as I glide the strap towards the back space, opening the chest, opening the arms and the armpits. Then gliding back again. And coming back to the center. Inhaling. Lovely. And then come back down and just gently glide the strap down. And let's put it to the side for now. Reaching both arms up. Bring the left arm down and gently reach the right arm up. Receiving the weight on the left hand, finding that long side body stretch from the right hip to the right fingertips. Floating up. Right arm floats down. And left arm reaches over, receiving the weight here with the right hand, finding that length from the hip to the tip of the fingers. Lovely. And then come to the center. And now gently place your hands to the back of your head. Maybe the thumbs, the bottom of the fingers are on the hairline, and the rest are sort of on the space that kind of curves out a little bit. And then very gently, this is more of a thought than really an action. Think about moving your ears towards the back space. And then come back to center. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see what this action would look like. It's very little. So here I am, and hand on the back of the head. And then I'm gently pushing my ears, the back of my head to that hand, and then bringing it back. Exploring the back space with the back of the head. Just keep floating back and forth a few times, exploring what it feels to do this motion. Try to go towards the back space, almost like you're imagining your ears moving back. Oftentimes we are very forward centered, and this allows the neck to find movement towards the back and activates those muscles a little bit so that we find a little bit of lengthening in the neck. And then coming to the middle, maybe there's a little bit of movement in the shoulders, anything that feels good. And then we are going to find our way to all fours. So if you were sitting on something, put that prop to the side and make your way to all fours. So now my knees are under my hips and my hands are under my shoulders and my hands are wide and wonderful and splayed. And just now here, let's find a little bit of a shoulder movement. So let your chest collapse a little bit down as you bring your shoulder blades together, and then gently come back to neutral spine. Pull the navel in and up, then bringing the shoulder blades together and come back to neutral spine. A few more times, almost like you are trying to itch the space between your shoulder blades. Coming to the neutral spine. Notice how your chest comes down and then pushing to that neutral spine. Let's do one more time and then come up. Now let's turn our hands so that they're facing each other. And then bending the elbows, finding a little bit of movement in the upper body. No structured shape here, more almost like playing with the shoulder blades, how they feel and how you can bend those hands, pushing into the tips of the fingers. Really no right or wrong here, just finding any kind of organic fluid movement. Rounding shoulder blade play, if you will. And then bring your hands to the normal expression of all fours. And let's round that spine. At the same time, push your weight towards your heels. Inhale, float the weight forward, soften the belly, open the heart, shifting weight forward, rounding the spine, exhaling, shifting weight back, a little dynamic cat and cow. Go as far as feels good to you, rounding the spine. Inhaling, coming forward, opening the heart. Exhaling, rounding the spine. Inhaling, coming forward, feeling how the weight shifts forward, opening the heart, and then come back to center. And at this point, we're going to gently turn one hand so that the fingers are facing your knees. And this might be a little bit closer to your seat, however feels comfortable for you. A little bit of a stretch to the front of the wrist. Find where you need to be. It might not look anything like my body. And then coming down, placing the other front of the wrist in front of you. And gently finding a stretch there wherever feels comfortable in your body. Allowing the front of the wrist to stretch a little bit. And then come back. Lovely. We're going to extend the right foot behind, like into a little comfortable calf stretch. And from there, we're going to float that leg up and then cross to the left all the way to the outside of your yoga mat on the left, and maybe looking at that foot, toes on the floor. I'm going to show you this orientation. A little bit of a side body stretch here. Breathing into the lungs, so filling the lungs and noticing again how that deep breathing is already giving you a little bit of an extra oomph in that side body stretch. And then pull in your navel and bring that leg back to center, and then float it to the side, directly out from your knee, placing the outside edge of the foot down. Now stay here if this is comfortable for you, and if you already feel a lot of a big stretch on the inside of the thigh, or if it's available to you, you can also sink down with your hips. Maybe the arms are extended and maybe the forehead comes down. Breathing deeply. And I think the word in this pose would be to surrender. If there's any discomfort in your knee, please come back to where you started on the all fours. And then with an inhale, floating up if you weren't there. Gonna move back here. Just very, very gently. We're gonna bring that leg back to the calf stretch. Bring it under you, opening the knees. Maybe the big toes come to touch and sink into a short-lived child's pose. Maybe the first child's pose is going to be you on your forearms, really focusing on the hips and allowing there to be a lot of depth and softness in the hips, filling the belly, allowing it to expand with the inhale, and then floating back to all fours, finding the knees under your shoulders, knees under your hips, wrists under shoulders, extending the left leg to the back, finding a little calf stretch there, pushing into that back heel, and then floating that up and crossing the center line to the right, placing the toes to the floor, maybe looking at that foot, finding a side body stretch here. Pull the navel in and up so that you support your spine, and allow the inhale to add to the stretch as your chest expands. And then floating that leg back to the center, bring it to the side, to your gate pose directly out from your knee. Stay here or sink down into a variation of child's pose here. This might be too much for your knee, so it's good to note that. And then you can always float back up and maybe come to your forearms. Lovely. Let's come up to all fours and float that leg back to the back. And then bring the knees under you, opening the hips, opening the knees a little wider than your hips, and sinking down. And maybe this time around, this child's pose is a little bit lower than the first one. Maybe the arms are extended. If there's any discomfort in your shoulders, feel free to have them on the sides, or maybe they come by your body, finding the variation that feels best in this moment in your body. Softening, surrendering, and then with an inhale, coming up through all fours. Very good. So now from here, I invite us to find our forearms down. And then extending, I need to move a little bit on my yoga mat, and then extending the legs and make your way to a forearm plank. Now here we are, my heels are sort of trying to reach back, just like we did in the calf stretch. And then I'm gently bringing my knees to touch the ground and then extend them again. Notice how my neck is long, my spine is long, and my core is very, very, very active, pulling the navel in and up as I gently bring the knees down and straighten them. One more time, knees down and straighten them. Lovely. Bring the knees down and come back up and step your hands to the corners of the mat and gently bring your heart down. Maybe the forehead comes to the floor. A little puppy pose here. Opening the armpits, opening the heart. Pull the navel in and up so that you support your spine. And then gently coming back up to the forearms. Very good. And now we're going to find the forearm plank again. Just playing with it. And maybe this time around you shift your weight side to side. And then you can also play with going forward and back, pushing from the knees, trying to hold this. You can also bring your knees down and do the same work. Very good. And then placing the knees down, come back to all fours. And this time around, we're opening the right arm to the sky, gliding it under you, maybe placing that right shoulder on the floor, maybe the right ear comes to the floor, a little thread the needle. Breathing into the softness, and maybe you are higher up. Listen to the messages in your body. And then pulling the navel in and up, Open back to the side and float that hand down. Let's do the left side. Opening up to the top, wherever it wishes to open. Gliding the arm down, maybe placing the left shoulder, left ear to the floor. And I'm allowing this opposite hand to be my support as I breathe in and out. Breathing, softening. And then gently pushing into that hand, open the left back up and come back to center. Wonderful. Let's do a little bit of hip circles here. Little bit of hip circles one way, really focusing on that long spine. Noting how I'm also doing wrist circles here. And then switching side and coming back. Very good. And find your all fours. We're going to find our way to that calf stretch again. And then float that leg up so that it's about parallel to the floor. Now pull your navel in and up and bend the heel towards your seat. Nothing else moves, just the heel towards the seat. And then with an exhale, round your spine. Bring that right knee towards your nose. Extend the leg parallel to the floor. And bend that heel towards your seat, rounding the spine, bringing it towards your nose, and reach it back. One more time, bending at the knee, nothing moves, rounding the spine, and then place your right foot where your right hand is, and come to your low lunge. If you have sensitive knees, this might be the time to put something soft under your knees. I'm actually going to do that because it's better for me to have that extra today as well. Here I am, placing it under my knee. Very good. Finding the navel coming in and up, so I'm not dumping my weight, but I'm really trying to open the front of the left hip and have that spine straight again. A lot of talk about that today. And then gently hug yourself, hugging the arms. My left arm is over my right. And I breathe. And then from there, you can either stay at the hugging arms or release the lower arm, and maybe you wrap the hands to eagle arms, maybe one way and maybe twice, depending where you are today. And breathe there. Filling the lungs with an inhale, softening with the exhale, and then gently release it. Keep the left arm in front of you and gently pull on to the upper arm or lower arm, whichever calls you. Across the body, think about pushing that left shoulder down, having a long neck with lots of space for your ears. And then as from this, across the body, keep following the arm that is across and wrap your arms around you, however, so that you find your way in a twist for the upper body. Just breathe there for a moment. And then gently come back to the center, placing the right hand to the floor so that it's matching my left foot. Hip width apart. And my right hand is still on the hip, and I'm just going to gently extend that back knee. So I'm in a runner's lunge. And then I open, twist again to the right, finding a little bit of a twist in the upper body and opening that right elbow to the sky. Lovely. From here, let's just look down and gently walk your hands in front of you. I need to change my direction so you can actually see me. We're going to bring the hands down and then just walk, bending your knees as much as needed to a wide-legged forward fold. So my hands are in front of me. And if you need to bend your knees, by all means do so, allowing your upper body to hang towards the floor. Head is heavy. Maybe you shake, no, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. If it feels inviting to you, you can always extend those legs. Just stay in this deep forward fold for a couple breaths. And from there, with your next big inhale, filling the lungs, lifting a little bit with your back, upper body, walking back to where you were, gently coming back to all fours. And now I'm the wrong way on my mat. I really try to show you the best I can, but it is what it is. Very good. Let's find calf stretch on the left. Very good. Float that leg up. Everything else stays in place. Just the knee bends and heel comes towards your seat. Inhale, exhale, round the spine. Bring the left knee towards your nose. Reach the leg parallel to the floor. And then bend that knee again. And around the spine. Reach the leg back and bend it. Try to keep the thigh level where it was. And then rounding the spine. Step it forward where your left hand was and come up to your low lunge. Pulling the navel in and up. And we're going to wrap the right arm over. Hugging, giving yourself a little bit of a hug and pull the navel in and up. And maybe you reach forward with the hips. Maybe you wrap your hands in an eagle. Very good. Towards you. Or maybe it's the lower arm, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Lovely. And then follow that arm all along and find your way to a little twist, wrapping the arms around your chest, around your waistline, however feels comfortable for you. And then with an exhale, release everything, placing the right hand to pair with the left foot. Leave that right hand in the hip, tuck your right toes under and lift up the heel. And then gently pushing into the floor, look to the left, finding a little twist in the upper body, opening that left elbow to the ceiling. Maybe the gaze follows, maybe then down, as hands to the front, and gently turn to a wide-legged forward fold. Toes are facing. I'm not directly forward. I'm sort of like in a little bit of a diagonal across my mat, and that's okay. Bending the knees if that feels more comfortable for you. Deep, wide-legged forward fold. Wonderful place to calm the mind, but this can be very intense. Hanging there. Remember, the top of the head is very heavy, allowing the upper body to be pulled down by the gravity. With your next big inhale, fill the lungs, float the upper body up. Look at your hands and walk back to the end of your mat. Place the knee down and come to your all fours. Brilliant. Bring your knees to the outside edges of your yoga mat. Maybe the big toes come to touch, and let's sink into a child's pose. Maybe the arms are long, and maybe this time around you come up to your spider fingers, to the very tips of your fingers, and then maybe the forehead comes to the floor, maybe not. Opening the chest just a little bit, or maybe more the armpits here. Lovely. With your next big inhale, float back to all fours. And now I'm going to take this one off and put it to the side so that it's there for me when I need it later on. Finding your way to all fours. Notice that my toes are tucked under. Take a step forward with your hand and follow it with the other hand. Gently pushing into the tips of the fingers. My fingers are really splayed. Gently invite your navel to come in and up. Hover your knees and lift your tail up to a downward facing dog. Today we're going to walk the dog from the hands. So rather than always walking the feet, let's walk the hands this time around. And then finding a little bit of stillness. Bring those shoulder blades together and then let them float to the sides. Pulling the navel in and up, lifting the tail as high as you can. Note that your knees can be bent and your heels do not have to touch the ground. Forming this triangle shape where you push into your hands as much as you have weight on your feet. And then very slowly the feet and hands meet together in the middle. Bend your legs as much as you need so you find your way to a forward fold. Breathing here. Same thing as in our wide-legged forward fold. Let the top of the head be heavy. Maybe again you shake no, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. Allowing the head to be pulled down. And then generously bend in your feet and gently start coming up as you push into those heels, toes, big toes, and float up all the way. Head comes up last. And I need to change my orientation. Wonderful. There we go. I'm going to change my mat around a little bit so you can see me better. So here we are. We should be in the center of our mat, right? That's kind of where we ended up coming up in. And now let's step our feet a little wider than usual. Maybe they are almost as wide as the yoga mat and have a little soft bend in your knees. So this is not the traditional mountain pose where we would be, where the feet would be under our hips. This is more of a wider stance where you feel comfortable. And now I invite you to find your goddess arms. And it looks like I'm going to need to move the camera just a little bit. So maybe you see me better. Here we are. Lovely. In the middle of your mat, stepping a little wider, bring your arms to the sides like goddess arms, like cactus arm, like goalpost arms, however you wish to call them. And now I invite you to lift your chest up, move the arms slightly towards the back space, and then bring your elbows toward the front, rounding the spine, opening the heart, and rounding the spine, coming forward like a seated cat and cow for the upper body. The lower body is just very sturdy, and coming down forward. And then float the arms to the sides. And now this time around, place your palms facing forward. And then twist the arms so that your thumbs come in towards your body. And maybe you twist them a little further. So now the same thing, opening thumbs, lifting up the chest, and closing, rotating, rounding, making a little bit of a rounded shape from the side, opening, and maybe now your tail sort of like reaches back, and now your tail reaches forward. So we have this long spinal C curve, and then another way, a little bit of a rotation in the arms as well as the spine, opening the heart and rounding the spine, closing in the front, and then come up. Lovely. And now we're just going to find a little bit of a twist. However feels comfortable in your body. Maybe your gaze stays forward. Maybe your gaze follows the arms. And notice what happens with the shifting of the weight. Just let the hands swing and drop to your body and see where you wish to place your weight on the two hands. Maybe you stay in the middle. There's really not a right and wrong version of this. What we wish to have is a tall, upright spine, soft knees and ankles, and finding a twist over it that is free and flowy. and making your twist smaller and smaller. Slowly, slowly. Very good. Coming to the center. And now we're actually going to find our feet under our hips. Maybe you place your hands on your hips and find the feet right under them. Very good. Let's reach right arm in front of you. And again, we are just simply going to give ourselves a hug here. Shift your weight to the left and bring to a low tree. So I keep my right toes on the floor. I open my right knee to the right corner of my yoga mat. And my foot can rest a little bit on my ankle, but the toes are still on the floor if that feels good. You can also lift it up a little bit and stand on one leg if that feels good to you. I'm going to keep my toes on the floor today for this. Then just like we did before, release the lower arm if that's available to you and gently find your eagle arms. And then today's balancing is going to be different because we're actually going to look down and round that spine just like we did in the previous standing up movements and variations. And then come back up to a straight spine. Note that the ribs are over the hips. Shoulders are wide and wonderful. Rounding the spine, bringing the elbows down one more time, not collapsing. And then coming back up. Very good. Now release those arms to the side. Find those goalposts arms again and gently opening the chest, maybe moving the elbows to the back space. Chest opener. Breathing there. Wonderful. And then reach the arms over, head, however feels comfortable for you, and find your low tree pose. Grounded on the lower register, reaching up energetically in the upper register, lifting up the heart if that calls you, lifting up the gaze if that calls you, fingers full of energy, reaching beyond your skin. And then gently float the arms down, bring the foot down, and maybe we'll wiggle the hips a little. Wonderful. Very good. Let's do the same thing. Opposite hand hugging. Shift your weight and bring that foot, left foot, maybe the heel touches the ankle as you open the left knee towards the left corner of the mat. And breathing there gently. If you wish to bring that down, this is a long sequence of balancing. That can be an option as well, but I prefer to keep my toes down today. And then releasing the lower arm, maybe finding your eagle arms. Breathing here, and then looking down, bringing the elbows down, rounding the top part of your spine. Inhaling, coming up, the ribs come over your hips, rounding the spine. Top of the head is heavy again. Notice how it affects your balance. Very good. And from there, we will gently open the arms back to the goalposts or goddess arms, however you wish to call them. And then opening the chest by gliding those elbows to the back space. Breathing here for just a moment. And then coming to center, reaching the arms up energetically. And maybe you float that foot up a little bit to a low tree. But what I'm more interested is the energetic flow here. Feeling those feet on the floor, reaching up with the upper body. Not just where your body is, but also the energy goes beyond your body. Maybe you lift up the heart, maybe you look up. And then gently float everything down. And maybe we move those hips one more time. Very good. I will move my mat again so that you can see me. And this time around, I will grab my strap. So have your strap available. We're going to find our way to that wide-legged forward fold we did earlier. So if I place my arms to the sides, my feet are maybe just under my ankles, roughly. My toes are facing forward, and then we are going to do our archer arms. So gently place that strap, maybe the top of the strap, to your right arm, and bring that right arm overhead. And from overhead, gently bend to that elbow and allow the hand to come to the space behind your neck. And from there, reach that left arm behind you and get a hold of the strap wherever is available for you. So we have two actions here. We have a wide straddle, grounded feet, grounded lower register, and then we have the upper body. Now here it's very easy to let go of the center because there is a lot of pull here. So to balance that pull that is taking place behind your back, gently pull that navel in and up so that you are really, really supporting the spine and you stay happy in your spine. In your variation of archer arms, your hands might inch a little bit closer to each other. There are a lot of yogis who can do this without a strap. I am not one of those, so I will be happy with my strap here. And now pull the navel in and up and lift that heart up, maybe looking up, pushing that head into the back space like we did in the very beginning of the class, and then come back to center. Again, inhaling, lifting the heart up, maybe pushing the ears towards the back space, and come back to the center. Now, what I'm going to do is lift my right toes up and move, turn them so they are towards the right top of my mat. Then I'm going to take my left heel, lift it up, and place it down a little further away than my toes. Now, my body is still towards the middle. My hips are sort of facing the middle, more a little bit like in that corner, in that left diagonal corner. And then I'm gently going to bend my front knee and then straighten it. Bending into the front knee like I'm arriving to warrior two, straightening that front knee, bending into it, coming back up. One more time. And then pause here with the bent knee. Maybe those hands inch a little bit closer to each other again. And then breathe there. Pull the navel in and up as you open the shoulders in these bound arms. And then straighten that front knee. Make sure your top body, your whole upper body is facing the long side of your mat. And then just start tipping sideways as far as you can go. So we're really trying to find a very different variation of triangle. Think about that right elbow reaching forward, up, and diagonal, pushing into the big toe ball mounts. And then come back up to center. Turn those toes in. And maybe you adjust your position a little bit. And we're going to do a forward fold with these bound arms. So inhale, lift your heart up, and then hinging at the hips with a tall spine. Come forward as far as you can. And maybe you stay here for a moment. The expression of your upper body might be a lot higher than it was when we did the wide-legged forward fold before. And then inhale, reach the tall spine back up and gently release the arms. Bring them down, and maybe we do a little bit of shoulder circles here. That's a long time in that bind. But we did it intentionally, and now we're going to let everything flood into the arms again. And And then just take a moment to notice, breathing in and out, noting any energetic changes in your upper body. Lovely. And we're going to do the other side with the left arm. So get a hold of the strap with your left arm, reaching it up and then bending at the elbow, reaching back with the right. I'm turning so you can see me a little bit better. And then inching, walking those hands a little bit closer together, however feels comfortable today for your body. And notice that one side is going to be very different than the other. And that is okay. This side for me particularly is very, very tight and I have very limited mobility. And I just need to meet my body where it is and respect and honor that. So here we are, inhaling, lifting the heart up, pushing the ears towards the back space where you have your hand, and then come back to center. One more time, filling the lungs, opening the chest, reaching the head, and come back down. Lovely. Here we are. Lift up the left toes, turn them to the short end of your mat on the left, and turn your right heel down a little bit further than your heel or your toes. And then we're going to bend into that front knee and come up. Pushing into the big toe ball mount, gliding a bent knee and coming up. Pull the navel in and up so that you support the spine and come up. One more time. And then we stay here for a moment. Really feel strong in your legs, grounded as the upper body is reaching, opening. Very good. And maybe you're able to inch your hands a little bit closer together. Maybe not. Straighten the front knee. Turn your whole upper body to the short, long edge of your mat and gently find that sideways tilt. That left elbow is really reaching high up. Breathing here. Diagonal upper body. A variation of triangle with bound arms. And then inhale, make your way back up again, lifting up the left toes, turning them facing forward, and turn both toes facing in a little bit more than the heels. And here we are. Pull the navel in and up, and hinging at the hips. Come forward to your wide-legged forward fold. Keep the arms if that feels comfortable. You can release the arms at any point you experience discomfort. Hanging there, and maybe you're higher up. Just listen to what your body's saying, and maybe you come up all the way. Inhaling, long spine reaches up again. Coming back. And then gently, gently, gently allowing the arms to release and move those shoulders a little bit. That was a very intense, a very long session for our shoulders. And now I invite you to simply place the strap down and come down to your comfortable seated or maybe it's kneeling pose, and then just gently shake your arms. Shake your arms however feels comfortable, allowing there to be shaking my shoulders as well, just releasing any tension that might have been created with that long hold. Maybe you swim your arms a little bit. Beautiful. Very good. I'm going to take my mat again as we are starting to cool down. We're starting to cool down towards our Shavasana. I'm going to show you an option for sitting down and doing a little bit of a side stretch. So notice how I'm placing my mat here so that the corner is facing to the long edge of my mat. And then I simply sit so that that corner is in front of me, like a little baseball diamond, if you will. And then I'm going to bring my right leg is in front of me towards the right end corner of my mat. And I just bring my left foot to the calf, a little bit like we did in the tree. And from there, I'm going to twist and look to the right and then walk my hands. And I'm going to be on the right side of my foot. And then gently lowering the head down, chin down. Notice that my right toes are still facing the sky. Softening the spine, rounding the spine. Finding a little bit of a calming upper body forward fold. And then gently walking up again. And then I'm opening the left side to the left corner of my mat and bring that right foot touching. Maybe it's the lower leg. It could be the inner thigh as well, but maybe it's lower now. And then reaching to the left side of the leg and then gently rounding the spine. And this is a great place to take note of any changes in your energy or any changes in your calmness level or anything that feels different on this side of the practice. And it's okay if nothing has changed. Sometimes that's the way as well. Coming forward to the middle. And now stay on that corner and let's bring our feet together in a comfortable butterfly. And maybe you lift your sit bones up and you kind of find the seat again and then lean your heart forward. Find your forward fold in your butterfly. Just gently softening down. Finding the expression of this forward fold that feels the best in your day, in your moment now. As you feel the lungs full of air, allow the belly also to expand. And softening with the exhale. And then with your next inhale, allow your hands to walk you up. Bringing the hands to the knees, bring the knees together. And let's just do a little windshield wipers here. Letting the knees fall to one side and then the other. Today's focus was on the upper body, but we still have that whole lower body that needs to be worked with as well, right? Very good. Now on your mat, let's remove the prop you had and gently find a way to lower yourself down on the mat. And today, instead of Shavasana, we're going to do a constructed rest. So step your feet as wide as your mat. And allow your knees to fall forward towards each other. And here I'm going to give you some options for the final resting pose. Maybe your hands are on your body. That feels like securing. Maybe it feels good to even give yourself a little bit of a hug here. Another option, if you wish to have one more heart opener, is just to extend the arms overhead, opening the heart, and then gently closing your eyes. Maybe you try all three different variations with the arms. One is just to extend them, palms facing up, a little bit away from the body. Find the arm position or placement that feels the best in this moment. Then gently arrive into stillness and silence. And notice what is present in your body and what is present in your mind. Whatever it is, receive it without judgment, like you are the observer of your journey. We're going to stay here for a few deep breaths. in silence and in stillness. And I invite you to really feel the heavy backside on the floor, softening, melting into the floor. And at the same time having a soft sensation of the front line, softening the chest, heart, and the abdomen. And allowing yourself to be in this moment. I invite you to stay here as long as you wish. But if you feel ready to move on with your day, I gently invite you to find your way to one side in a little fetal pose, taking a deep breath of gratitude and releasing any residual tension with your exhale. And then allowing your hands to help you come up to your comfortable seated pose. Maybe it's the same one you started in, maybe it's kneeling. Let's bring our hands to our heart center. Maybe the hands are touching each other, maybe your hands are on your heart. Finding the expression that feels good. Taking a deep breath in, and let's let the exhale come through the mouth, feeling the chest soften. And this is where I thank you for allowing me to guide you through this practice. And I invite you to let your inner light shine bright. Thank you for your time and energy. Please feel free to subscribe to Yoga for All with Rose and check out the mindful movement snacks we have here, as well as the other live stream replays. There's a whole library of them. Some are intermediate, some are all levels. And there's also a little library of mindful breath, all for us to have more wellness and well-being in our lives and cultivating kindness towards ourselves as well as the others. Thank you. Be well.